It's Thursday. We're going to check in with Denis Campbell for Worldview with Denis Campbell. Denis is, of course, editor-in-chief of UK Progressive magazine. Denis, what's been the talk about the debate in Europe?
Well, I think much similar to what you've heard there without some of the hyperbole. I listened, and of course, you have to keep in mind here in the UK, the debate ended at 4 o'clock in the morning. So people were a bit bleary-eyed by that point, present company included. And when you get to the end of a very long evening where you've been sort of listening to different streams, I followed the BBC, Al Jazeera, and CNN. At some point, I actually had to turn CNN off because of the noise level, and by noise, I mean just the chatter between the various very partisan supporters was so ridiculous I had to stop. Katty Kay from the BBC, and I think you're most used to seeing her. She's the U.S. editor of BBC America. Interviewed Michael Scherer from Time magazine, and they had a very good discussion on the front steps of the auditorium last night. And the basic conclusion was, yes, Romney did reasonably well with the debate itself. But the problem is that he was really lacking in the area of substance. And at the end of the day, both of them felt it would not be enough to move the poll dial, because even as some of the people here at The Guardian were saying, I'm reading off the screen here from some quotes from Gary Young, who's one of the Guardian's correspondents there in the United States. After several reboots and rollouts, Romney finally found his voice. He wasn't likable, but he was believable, and he's still in the game. And then Ewan McCaskill, who's also a very big America's writer, said it was a spirited and aggressive performance that forced Barack Obama repeatedly onto the defensive. It will at least change the growing perception of Romney as a loser, even if only temporarily. And the people I've talked to, and I've talked to people also throughout the Mideast who are petrified of the thought of a Romney presidency, they all came to the same conclusion that, yes, he had a good debate performance, but the man has been rehearsing for this debate since July. And if you can't go through, I think he went through 5 full debate preps, 90 minutes each over the course of the last 48 hours, if you can't come out with a very strong performance as a result of that, and you need that much preparation time for something that's supposed to be reasonably spontaneous, then you shouldn't be in the race.
So the consensus seems to be that the way I scored it seems to be similar to what's being discussed in Europe, which is on substance, President Obama did well, kind of the reading test. If you were to simply read a transcript of the debate, what impression would you come away with? But on style, Mitt Romney appeared more comfortable. Are people also talking about this idea that President Obama seemed, whether it's annoyed, tired, whatever the case may be, are those kind of qualitative discussions going on?
Yeah, it was interesting. He had a high level of irritation, it almost looked like, and I mean, my theory is that I think there were many other places he would rather spend his 20th wedding anniversary than there on the stage with Mitt Romney. I'm sure that probably played into it. There's another factor that I haven't heard anybody talk about. I've been in Denver before, and when you get to 5,000 feet, and I've had to give a speech there, at the end of that evening, the altitude sickness, just the sheer height of where you are, has a huge effect on you. It really fatigues you to a degree that you can't even begin to imagine. And I also had to give a speech over in Vail, which is another 3,000 feet above sea level. So between 7,500 and 8,000 feet above sea level, you find yourself having to pace yourself in a much different fashion. And from what I've seen of his stay there, he's been campaigning full bore, as well as in the most difficult and stressful office in the world, that of President of the United States. He's dealing with the issue that nobody's talking about today, and that is the Syria-Turkey heightening escalation of hostilities there. I'm sure he's had to have a number of briefings on that and keep his head in the debate game. So I don't know how anybody could possibly do all that's required at that level and still walk away with a decent performance, just not what we're used to seeing from Barack Obama.
So, and I guess part of it is because he's doing all of his presidential duties, but the altitude itself presumably would have affected Mitt Romney as well, don't you think?
Well, he's been living in Colorado, though, for what, the last week and a half? So, your body does acclimate to it. I mean, the situations I was talking about where, you literally fly in, you land at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, you're giving a speech. And when that happens, I mean, you don't have a chance to acclimate. From what I understand, he was in another state arrived at the venue. Literally, we saw him in the hour before the program. His motorcade pulled up. I'm not sure where he was actually staying in Colorado, if he even stayed in, or if he had just arrived from a more sea-level-like venue. I know the next debate is going to be at Hofstra University in New York City, so that hopefully will take care of that as a potential issue. I don't offer it as an excuse, but it could explain why he was in a situation, of looking so fatigued after, 75, 80 minutes in front of a packed auditorium on a national television stage in front of 50 million or so people.
Interesting. Real quick, last thing. How much interest is there in Europe in watching these debates and in the details of what is said? I mean, I know you said the timing issue is very, very late at night, but generally, we heard about 50 million people here in the U.S. watched, and what percentage of actual voters that represents, we don't yet know. Assess the interest level with this debate.
Well, there's a great interest in the race itself. I mean, I'm constantly asked to comment, and have done a couple of radio programs this morning on what happened in the debate and where the election itself is headed. But they don't have the level of minute debate knowledge that you or I or a lot of the people that watch this program would have. I mean, they are interested. There were a number of people who were tweeting to me last night, because what I did was I live blogged and I live tweeted what was actually going on during the course of the debate to sort of help people understand. And I was shocked to see there were a half a dozen or so people, not just here in the UK, but across the rest of Europe and the Middle East, that were involved in the dialogues that we had as a result of that.
All right, so similar outlook, really. On style, Mitt Romney did very well. On substance, President Obama did well. We'll have to see what happens in the polls, and we'll see what happens, as you said, when we have a more sea-level debate at Hofstra University. Denis Campbell, Editor-in-Chief of UK Progressive Magazine, thank you as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you next week, David.
Okay, let's take a break. Stay tuned. Still more to come after this.